Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Mike Avery has covered the outdoors in Michigan for more than 4 decades, and that tradition continues today. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Yater Insurance Group, Angler Quest Pontoons, the Forward Corporation, Security Credit Union, Offshore Tackle, Hammond Drives and Equipment, Garber Chevrolet, the West Branch Visitors Bureau, Rapid River Knife Works, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome. Welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine radio show right here on the Outdoor Magazine radio network on, great radio stations across our great state of Michigan. So glad to have you along with us as we continue to work our way through this winter season. As you're hearing the broadcast version of the show, this is the first full weekend of February. And, it's been an interesting winter so far, hasn't it? Yeah, don't worry about it, John. We'll get it during the break. Okay, I mentioned John. I got to get to this right away because I think this is so funny. Jonathan Dent, there we go, who is with me in the studio this morning, and he's a young guy. I walked in the studio, and I'm getting set up here, and I'm doing some promos, and he keeps looking over at me. I'm like, what? What did I took a shower? That's not it. He said, do you hear that? I said, no, hear what? He said, I hear this high-pitched frequency, this high-pitched noise. It's like a squeal or a feedback or something. It's like, no, I don't hear it at all. Now, you got to realize that my hearing is shot, and I ruined my hearing over the years. Number one, really loud music, really close to speakers in concerts, which was stupid, and equally stupid, shooting without wearing hearing protection. And I can go back to one specific incident that really caused the most damage, and I know this. We were up bird hunting in northern lower Michigan, grouse and woodcock hunting. And we had a great day. It was a lot of fun. I was up there with a game warden and a federal agent, a Fish and Wildlife officer. And the Fish and Wildlife officer had a .45. I had never shot a .45 at the time. And I said, do you mind if I shoot that? And he had a box of ammo. And back at the time, I don't think they were keeping track of every bullet that went through a law enforcement officer's gun. So he says, yeah, go ahead and shoot it. So I put a whole box of ammo through this .45, and I really enjoyed it. And still to this day, I love to shoot a .45. I love the slow push, the slow recoil. I just love the feel of a .45. But I wasn't wearing any hearing protection. So I've got a .45 in front of me at arm's length, putting a whole box through the gun. When I was done, and I didn't realize this during the time, but when I was done, my hearing was so bad that all the way back in the truck, I couldn't hear their conversation. They're sitting in the front seat, I'm sitting in the back, but I'm leaning forward to try to hear what they're saying. I couldn't hear it. My ears were ringing. In fact, I put my fingers up to my ears to make sure I wasn't bleeding. I mean, that's how bad it was. My ears were ringing. All the sound was muffled. And this went on for hours. Now, later on, after talking with audiologists, specifically Mike Stewart of CMU, he said, oh, yeah, you can cause permanent damage from one event. And I know that one event severely affected my hearing to the point now where I'm wearing hearing aids. So going back to being in the studio now, John says, he said, this sound is driving me crazy. And, of course, I can't hear it. He said, I think it's coming from your hearing aids. I don't think it is because I can't hear it. But, okay, so just a little note, all right? Don't shoot a box of ammo through a .45 or any other gun without wearing hearing protection. I'm paying the price for it, and now Jonathan Dent is paying the price for it too. Okay, I didn't think I was going to go off on that direction today, but I did. Okay, again, going back to this is the first full weekend in February. Punxsutawney Phil. Why do we even trust that big rodent anyway? Well, we don't really trust, right? We know that it's all kind of a joke. 6 more weeks of winter. I don't think I can take 6 more weeks of winter. I got to be honest with you. But the days sure are getting longer, aren't they? Somebody was saying this morning that we gained 75 minutes of daylight during the month of February. And I feel it, and I appreciate that. Thank you, Mother Nature. Thank you, Lord, for that, because we need something. Can you imagine being a deer this winter? Or any wildlife, right? This is when things get hard for critters. And not just in the UP, but across the state. It has been cold. The good news about this winter is the snow and ice. If you love snow, if you love ice, this is a wonderful winter. I'm looking at my friends out there on Saginaw Bay. Saginaw Bay is notorious for being kind of squirrely and being temperamental and not always getting good, solid, safe ice. Well, there's good, solid, safe ice this year. You still have to use your wits, right? You still have to be careful. And I always say, if you're not from the area, don't just jump on your sled and head out on Saginaw Bay if you don't know where you're going, if you're not out there with people who know where they're going. I think it's a great idea to do one of these follow-alongs with the guides, the captains who are out there running ice trips. For $100 or something, they'll let you follow them out to their fishing grounds. They're not going to babysit you like they would a full-blown charter, but they'll get you out there safely and they'll get you back safely. I think that's an excellent, excellent idea. I have not been out yet. I've got invitations. I don't know. As much as I love trolling on Saginaw Bay in the summertime, I just can't get that real excited, and going back to winter. And I'm doing a live stream right now, and Jordan Hoover chimes in. He says, it's not a hard winter that we're having. It's a normal winter. You're right, Jordan. This is more of a good old-fashioned Michigan winter, and we have been spoiled. I have been spoiled. I forgot what winter looks like. Now, when I travel back to the west side of the state, I'm kind of reminded what it was like as I was a kid growing up there and then going to school at Ferris and Big Rapids. Yeah, it's a good old-fashioned Michigan winter. And I'm about ready for it to be done. I admit it. I'm getting weak. I'm getting to be a sissy. I admit it. All right, some things coming up here. The MUCC convention is coming up the weekend of the 21st. That's in, oh boy, what is it? It used to be the Novi Expo Center, and then it was the Suburban Collection Showplace, and now it's the Vibe Credit Union Showplace or something like that. This is going to be an interesting year for that convention because MUCC, as I've talked about quite a bit here, and I will continue to talk about because I have a vested interest in MUCC. I want to see them survive. I want to see them thrive. I want to see them be the strongest voice for Michigan hunters and anglers that they ever have been. But the organization is in transition right now. I'm hoping that by the time of that convention, we will meet the new CEO of Michigan United Conservation Clubs. Get a chance to talk to that person, get a feel for what the vision is. I will continue to support MUCC as long as MUCC continues to support the hardcore hook and bullet crowd, the hunters and anglers, shooters and trappers. So we'll see. We'll see where this goes. And then March 7th, the big Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction. This is purely personal to me. I have a vested interest in this. Trinity Monitor is my church. We've been doing this wild game dinner now. This is the 9th one. This is the concept that first came up at Dixie Dave's restaurant. We were down there having a pastor's appreciation dinner. And I'd been doing wild game dinners all across the state, and I thought, why aren't we doing one at Trinity? So at this pastor's appreciation dinner, the pastor's there, elders are there, and our elder emeritus was there, Lyle Cloa, and he was with the Athletic Boosters group, and I thought, this is the only group that could pull this off. And I said, Lyle, are you guys interested in working on a wild game dinner? And boom, it took off, and now it's grown. We have a live auction, we have a silent auction, we have an online auction, we have raffles, we have all kinds of just wonderful events. Go to bidpal.net/Trinity Monitor, bidpal.net/Trinity Monitor. You can sign up to get tickets. It's a really, really good event. Looking forward to it once again. Great prizes, great auction items, including a walleye fishing trip with me on Saginaw Bay, but not on the ice. That will be open water trolling. And then looking further down the road for April 15th, we're going to do a Wednesday night live at the Lumberjack Restaurant in West Branch. Those are always very popular. So hope to see you join us there. Put it on your calendar now. Coming up on this week's show after the break, Taylor Pierson joins me to talk about trophy pike through the ice. Taylor's one of the best. Then Ben Nielson. Ben is with Showspan. He's going to talk about Outdoorama. I'm going to go with Outdoorama. Now, Outdoorama and the MUCC convention are in conjunction this year, cooperation with each other this year. In our second hour, my buddy Tony Windt talks about wintertime crow hunting. He's also a skinny water trolling guy. We might talk a little bit about that as well. Then Nick Grillo from Michigan Brand Meats. And in hour number 3, Paul Phillips, extreme long-range shooting expert. But we're going to talk about suppressors this time. You know, it's easier than ever to get a suppressor. The timetable for approval is quick. The tax stamp is gone. Should you put a suppressor on your hunting rifle? We'll talk about that and more with Paul. And, of course, we'll wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar. My name is Mike Avery. This show is called Outdoor Magazine Radio. My website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address, Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. So glad you're with us. I hope you can stick around for this week's Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Caro on 2 stations, WKYO 1360 AM and WIDL 92.1 FM. You can hear us in Muskegon on WKBZ 1090 AM, and you can hear us north of the bridge in Newberry, WNBY 1450 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by the Linwood Beach Marina and Campground. Linwood Beach can be your year-round Saginaw Bay fishing destination and your Mid-Michigan Angler Quest headquarters. For more information, check them out online at linwoodbeachmarina.com. That's linwoodbeachmarina.com. We found the source of the high-pitched tone. Believe it or not, it was a light that I had on me when I was doing the live stream. Now, I put a light on me because I want people to see my pretty face, right? No, I just do that so it looks technically better. But as soon as I turned it off, John said, that it's gone. So that doesn't mean you can get away with not using hearing protection while you're shooting, though. Okay. All right, so I was talking about Linwood Beach Marina and the ice fishing out there on Saginaw Bay right now. A lot of interest in Saginaw Bay ice, primarily for walleye, somewhat for perch as well, but there will be probably a few pike caught through the ice on this season. If you want to target trophy pike, now we catch some big pike on Saginaw Bay, but I don't think a lot of people target trophy pike out there. Taylor Pierson is a guy I have been following online and talking with here on the radio show for the last several years. This guy targets trophy pike, and he's very, very good at it. And he's with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Taylor, welcome back. How have you been, buddy?
Pretty good, Mike. How you been?
I've been doing real well. Sometimes when we talk, we're kind of waiting for the ice to set up. But by this year, that's one thing we got going for us this year, right?
Yeah, for sure. We actually got some ice. That's a good thing.
Have you been out much yet, Taylor?
Not a whole lot. I mean, we got out early, like around Christmas when we had that cold snap, but then we got so much snow we couldn't get on the lakes around here. I mean, they sat with no ice or an inch or two ice with 3 inches of snow on them for almost a month. We just got out this past week, and last weekend was our first time out in our area.
And you're southwest lower Michigan, right?
Yeah, South Kalamazoo.
Okay.
That area.
And why is that area producing such big pike through the ice? Or is it just every part of Michigan does, but you got to go look for them?
Yeah, I mean, I really would have to say our area is one of the worst areas.
Really?
We have to work super hard for our fish. I know I got buddies all over the state. They catch giants every day. I mean, it's just tough. We just don't have the lakes or the flowing water, like they do around the state to fish. But, I mean, we just work hard and spend a lot of time. Like, I spend hours and hours looking at maps and finding specific lakes and then specific areas on the lake to go look, to try. And then it's just about patience and waiting.
I feel like targeting a trophy pike is a lot like targeting a big buck.
Yeah, I mean, the more I think about it over the years, it's pretty much exactly the same. Like, go out every day and, you can catch a few little ones just like you see a few little ones, but to actually have that monster walk in front of you or have that big one eat that bait, it's always a waiting game for sure. A lot of luck involved, as much skill as we have.
I don't know. The whole luck thing, yeah, luck plays a role, but a guy like you, Taylor, I think you do everything to put luck on your side.
I definitely try as hard as I can, for sure.
So when you're looking at these lakes and you're scouting them, I mean, how are you doing this? Are you using Onyx? Or are you using what do you?
Yeah, I use everything actually. I have 4 different apps I use. I use Onyx, Onyx Fish, Navy Onyx, and then a couple other apps. And I mean, I've been looking a lot in the last month. So, I mean, when I go on there, I'll look at a lake first, try to find flowing water, like a river or a creek. Then I'll look for lily pads. If it's a shallow lake, I'll look for lily pad edges or shallow, steady drops, or a bay that has a pretty steady, shallow drop in it. And we really like to fish the lily pad edges in those shallow lakes. And, I mean, it's where we caught most of our big ones, so it's where we go start. And then as a deeper, clearer lake, we fish quite a few of those. I'll just look for specific turns or right on the edges or if there's any humps or points. But those deeper, clearer lakes, we just kind of fish the edges of them and down and find weedier bays and just try to put them out and spread them out as much as we can.
Is the size of the lake a factor at all?
I think so. Some yes, some no. I mean, there's always going to be at least a couple big ones in a smaller lake, but you got a lot better chance on a bigger lake. I mean, everything grows to its environment, they say. So bigger lake, bigger fish technically, but we fished a few smaller lakes that we still caught 40 inchers on. So, I mean, it's possible anywhere.
What's your number? What size fish do you get excited about?
I mean, it takes at least 38 or sadly anymore. Really, it's 38, 39, 40, plus. Then I get excited at least. It's hard, with taking new people. I got to learn to get myself excited seeing a 34, 35 incher because they think it's a monster.
Yeah, you've kind of set the bar pretty high for yourself.
Yeah, it's pretty sad for our area. Like last weekend, we were on a lake we normally catch good ones, and we weren't. Every fish we caught was under 32 inches, and we were like, geez, what are these little snakes? But it happens. You can't go out and catch giants every time.
In that case, last weekend, do you think the big fish, weren't there, or they just weren't cooperating?
I mean, we're worried. There's 4 different guys that we fished that lake, and we've been talking, and it feels almost like a lot of them got taken out of there because the last 3-4 years, I mean, we hadn't caught a fish under 30 inches, and now this year that nothing over 30 hardly. So it's got to be a difference between they moved a little bit and maybe the time of year. But I know a lot of fish were taken out of that lake this year, and it doesn't take much to hurt a lake for sure when you take those bigger fish out. There just aren't that many of them.
That's a good point. The difference between an inland lake and the Great Lakes. If you went out on, say, a Saginaw Bay, you couldn't fish out Saginaw Bay, but you can fish out an inland lake.
Oh, yeah, for sure, in a hurry.
So what's your setup for these big fish, Taylor?
I mean, we're running straight tip-ups. We don't run any rods or anything. And, I mean, I run the Fraybill thermal tip-ups just because I like them because you can put them down and hole never freezes, nothing ever freezes. And then I run 50-pound tip-up line, and I fill the spool. I mean, it's like 200 yards of line because I've definitely had been spooled before. And then I'm running 40 and 50-pound fluoro and a single 2-aught live bait hook. That's all I run anymore.
So no wire leader, just a heavy mono leader.
Yeah, heavy fluoro. And then single hook, I've learned over the years. I mean, everybody gives me grief still to this day, but that it's a Grillo live bait sink by owner and 2/0, 3/0, and I have 100% confidence anymore. And I just feel like if a fish does swallow the bait, it's better to have a single hook in its belly than a treble hook as far as survival rate.
I find it funny that people give you grief. You probably caught more big pike through the ice than maybe anybody in the southern part of the state, but everybody's an expert, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, everybody likes to give me grief trying something different all the time.
Is that one of the keys, though? You say trying something different. Is that one of the keys to keep experimenting, maybe show the fish something different?
I think so, for sure. I mean, any way you can. I mean, in every fishery there is, if you got a little edge of something different, something nobody else has seen, it's always going to work.
Do these big trophy pike, and this is maybe a weird question, and do they get smart if they see enough rigs and they feel enough hooks? Do they learn?
I really believe they do. I mean, as far as we've watched over the years, I mean, they say a fish only has like a 3-minute memory, but I believe, I mean, if we go fish a lake 2 days in a row, we're definitely not having nearly as many flags on day 2 as we are day 1, just because I believe they've seen it and they know that don't taste right when it hurts when they bite it. So I truly believe, I mean, we'll wait a week or two to ever fish another lake, but this year we're kind of on a mission to just cover as many different lakes as we can because we haven't got this kind of ice to fish a lot of different lakes we haven't got to for years.
With that in mind, then, how long will you give a setup before you'll pick up and go, you know what, we got to move?
Yeah, at least an hour, 2 hours. I mean, some lakes that I know, we'll leave them all day long just because we know those are the best spots, but minimum an hour for sure, but at least 2 hours.
So this is a sport of patience.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Sometimes you get lucky, and pop a good one right away, but, 90% of the time we're daylight, for breaking daylight till sit until dark every time we go out. And sometimes no flags, sometimes lots of flags. But majority of lakes we fish, 4 or 5 flags is a good day.
4 or 5 flags is a good day. Wow.
But they're all going to be, 35 plus.
Do you keep these fish at all, Taylor?
No. Some of the little ones on some lakes we'll keep. A couple of my buddies want to keep one to eat or something, but no, I try to put them all back. Doing my part to keep the species going. I feel like they control all our lakes, so what's the reason to taking any out? So
what's the biggest pike you've caught through the ice?
Through the ice, 41 inches, weighed 21 pounds. But
gosh, that's a tank.
That was a big one. We've caught, I don't know, over probably a few hundred, 300 or 400 over 40. Just we can't get that 25-pounder, 30-pounder. We're all chasing.
How long would that fish be?
It's going to take 48, 50 inches to hit 30 pounds, I think. Jeez. My buddy just caught a 44-incher a couple weeks ago, and it only weighed 19 pounds. So,
you think about that, though. A 15-pound pike swimming around an inland lake. That thing is just right. He's a machine. He's a killing, eating machine. He's got to have every other fish in that lake on edge. They are the rulers of the lake, for sure. Just like the sharks of the ocean, they keep everything in check. Hang tight, Taylor. I got to. You know how this works. I got to take a break here, but I got a few more things to talk with you about. We're talking with Taylor Pierson, who is, what do we call him? The pike master, the pike whisperer. I don't know, pike whisperer. That's a pretty good term for him. I first heard about Taylor online when I saw some video. In fact, we posted a video a few years ago of Taylor and one of his fishing partners on crystal clear, and it wasn't thin ice, but you could see right through it. And they landed just a monster fish, and it went viral. I'm talking millions of views. And ever since then, I've been kind of following Taylor in his wintertime trophy pike adventures. We'll take a break. When we come back, more with Taylor, and then we'll wrap up the hour with Ben Nielson of Showspan talking about Outdoorama coming up. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Alpena on WZTK 105.7 FM. You can hear us in Holland on WHTC 1450 AM 99.7 FM. We're talking now with Taylor Pierson. What did you call him, John? The Pied Piper? There we go. The Pied Piper of Pike. The Pike Pied Piper. That's not bad either. And I did not see these, Taylor, that you sent me on Facebook, these pictures of you and your buddies holding these trophy pike. This is so very impressive. I'm going to make sure after you email them to me to post them, because I want people to see what we're talking about. What is the appeal of these big, giant pike, and why do you spend so many hours chasing them?
I really don't know how we ever got started. I mean, it's just, I guess I grew up spearing pike, I'm with my dad and my grandpa and all our guys, and it's always been hooked on pike. I mean, we used to bluegill fish a little bit, but I mean, now I just catch all my bluegills in spring and summertime, and so I've got bluegills in the freezer, crappies, perch, we might as well. This is the one time we get to go chase them, so why not?
Think of how many bluegills and crappies and perch these monster pike eat during the year.
Right, yeah, for sure.
One
lake I fished,
Go ahead.
One lake I fished, we catch a lot of big ones on. I mean, it's pretty much every time we go out there bluegill fishing, we'll have at least one scaled. We'll fight a pike at least half the way, and then they'll finally rip it out. But a 10-inch bluegill scaled from 35, 36-inch pike.
At what point in the process do you know that it's a big fish? I mean, when a flag goes up, you don't know if it's big or small, right? Or do you?
Right. I mean, we've learned over the years with those Freyville thermals, they have that black little knob on top, and when it's really spinning so fast you can hardly see it, that's got to be a big one just because of that tail kick. I mean, those little ones, they seem to not be able to move them as fast because they don't have as much push with their tails, not as big and powerful. But when one's really moving 90% of the time, it's going to be a big one.
So what do you do then? What's the process? Because you're landing them hand over hand, right?
Yeah, for sure. And every lake seems to be different. Some lakes, like as soon as you set the hook, they'll take off running or they'll run right back to the hole. So you got to be really ready to either let them go or fly and pull on as hard as you can until you get tension. Some lakes, they just head shake and will fight you the whole way, just shaking their head, trying to rip that hook out. Biggest thing is just keep tension. I've got enough, everything is tied right, and it's nothing I have ever worried is going to break. It's just the fact of, a hook popping out from slack. That's the only thing we ever really worry about. Try to keep from preventing happening, but 90% of the time, they're hooked good enough or they're not. It's just going to happen or it won't.
How big are the minnows you're using for bait, and what type of minnow are they?
We try to pretty much use suckers, but anything we'll use, if we catch some small crappies or perch out of the lake, we'll use those. But, we're trying to use as big baits as we can, like 10, 12, 13, 14 inches. The bigger the better, it seems. Like a bigger bait lasts a lot less longer in the water than anything else. It's pretty amazing.
Are you setting that bait just off the bottom, just above the old weeds, or what?
It varies from lake to lake, but always at least 2 foot off bottom. Sometimes like when we fish only 4 or 5 foot of water, I'm only putting them a foot under the ice so they can, silhouette it and see it above onto the ice. But sometimes if it's really weedy, we'll put them 5 foot above, or if we're fishing right on that edge, you'll push it out off the edge, but keep it at that depth of the edge, so, halfway down. But every lake seems to vary, but as long as you're above the weeds, you're pretty good to go.
I'm trying to imagine what it's like, and again, I'm looking at your pictures, and I'm going to post them. These fish are huge. I'm trying to imagine what it's like to bring one of these in hand over hand under the ice. What a thrill that must be. And then when you finally see it, it's like, oh man, this thing is, either not what I thought it was, or this thing's a horse.
Yeah, it's so much fun. That's why I've got so many guys hooked and love to go fishing with me now. Because once you see a big one or fight a big one, you just feel that thing running through your hands. It gets you hooked in a hurry for sure.
So how many different lakes do you want to try to hit this winter?
I have 7 right now that I really want to fish that I've never even stepped foot on, but hopefully we'll get to them. Because I've learned over the years when we go and we just fish a lake one day, that's not really giving it a fair shot because there's so many variables other than even just the weather. Just did that fish eat yesterday? When is he going to feed again? Is he even in that area? So I've learned we got to give at least every lake a couple of days, so I probably won't get to all the lakes, but I'll try to at least get on a few of them.
If you traveled to Northern Lower or the Yup and did this same thing, would you get similar results?
I mean, I'd hope so. Me and my girlfriend now have future plans to try to move north, like Charlevoix area, and I've already been looking at lakes up there. And I mean, there's a lot bigger lakes up there, so yeah, I'm hoping it'll work out.
Oh, that would be a rush. Taylor Pierson, I always appreciate our conversations. You are truly the master when it comes to big pike through the ice. And I'm going to post these pictures so people can see what we're talking about. But these are very impressive fish. I will wish you a wonderful season. And listen, shoot some video, send some of these pictures my way, and I'll share them if you don't mind.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
All right, I appreciate you as well, Taylor Pierson. You can find him on Facebook, by the way, and you'll see, when you see these pike, you'll know it's the right Taylor Pierson. These things are absolutely... they're magnificent. They are beautiful fish, and when you think that they let them all go again, this is pretty impressive. We'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up this opening hour with Ben Nielson of Showspan talking about the Outdoorama show coming up at the, what is it again? Is the Vibe Credit Union Showplace or something like that? You know where I'm talking about. And then they'll wrap up their show season with this huge show in Grand Rapids. Maybe we'll get time to talk about that as well. My name is Mike Avery. This show is called Outdoor Magazine. The website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Traverse City on WTCM 580 AM. You can hear us in Lansing on WILS 1320 AM. And you can hear us north of the bridge in Escanaba, WCHT 600 AM 93.5 FM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by Versa Skins. Just change your skin for the season you're in. Why buy a bunch of different sets of expensive hunting clothes when you can buy one good quality set? Snap on and zip out an outer shell of a different camo pattern in less than a minute. If you need big sizes, 4, 5, 6X, Versa Skins can help you out there. If you are a saddle hunter, Versa Skins is a great option as well. Check them out online at versaskins.com, versaskins.com, or go to amazon.com and do a search for Versa Skins brand. Just change your skin for the season you're in. Right now, the season we're in is show season. Coming up, Outdoorama. Outdoorama, a presentation of Showspan, their premier group that puts on shows across Michigan and the Midwest. Ben Nielson is one of the prime reasons for that. He is with Showspan and with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Ben, welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm pretty excited about Outdoorama. Is it Outdoorama or Outdoorama?
Well, you know, this is a Rapala in Rapala.
Okay.
All right. So, you know, I think I've even said both in the same sentence before. So let's just go with both of them are acceptable.
All right. The Outdoorama show is coming up when?
Obviously, we're going to be coming up February 19 through 22 at Vibe Credit Union Showplace, formerly known as Suburban Collection Showplace, which is quite a bit to say there. But obviously, they've gone through a little bit of change as far as their name goes, but it is the old Suburban Collection Showplace, same place that it's been for a number of years now, but it has a new name.
And Outdoorama, not just a fishing show, a fishing and a hunting show.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is for, you know, really kind of all of the outdoors, whether it's hunting, fishing, you know, canoeing, kayaking, you know, all that kind of love of the outdoors is here. So it does have a real strong focus on the hunting and the fishing side of it, but obviously just kind of really a celebration of the outdoors.
Outdoorama, a name that was made famous by MUCC. I think the show got too big for them, and to have you folks at Showspan come in and take it over, I think was a wonderful move.
Well, and thank you for that. And, you know, obviously it's been, you know, a fantastic show for us. And, you know, obviously MUCC is still a very strong presence, you know, within the show. They obviously are a part of the show every year. And, in fact, this year I think they're going to be doing their convention kind of in conjunction with the show down there this year. So, you know, still have a lot of involvement with them. And, you know, we love MUCC and support them wholeheartedly.
What are we going to see at this show? I mean, guides, gear, boats, seminars, big buck night, what?
Yeah, I guess, all of it. But yeah, it is, obviously it's a really strong show when it comes to, kind of destination trips. So whether it's an outfitter, maybe it's a, charter boat captain, trip to Alaska, all those different kind of trips and everything. There's going to be a lot of that stuff down there to choose from. So, it's a great way to come down. And, I know if I was going to head somewhere far away, it is really nice to kind of meet the owners and operators of that lodge and kind of get to know them before I, was decided to do that. So this is a great place to come and talk to them. But also there, we're going to have a lot of gear, right? Whether it's hunting gear, fishing gear, all the kind of stuff that we love having. There's going to be a lot of that stuff down there this year. We will have boats down there. Obviously, hunting and fishing boats are going to be there as well. And so, really a lot of different things for people to check out.
Seminars?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to have seminars like we, always do. We're going to have 4 different stages going throughout the show. So we're going to have a lot of the, kind of famous people here from Michigan. And, Mark Martin will be there. And we're going to have, Tim Andrews is going to be there talking about deer hunting. Wayne Carpenter's there talking about bass fishing. Lance Valentine's going to be there. So, a lot of the different great seminar leaders are going to be there presenting seminars at the show as well.
I want to go back a step here. You're talking about meeting the lodge owners. That can't be overstated. If you're going to spend good money to go on what could be, I don't know, maybe possibly the trip of a lifetime, but certainly a big trip that you're not going to do all the time, to meet these people face to face, to talk with them, to get a feel for them, the type of person they are. They can explain the trip, explain the operation, what you can expect. That's great.
It is. It's fantastic. And, it's a great opportunity. And then to, on top of that, have them all under one roof, right? So, maybe you've been thinking about a couple different places you want to go, and you can kind of talk to the people about those places and really kind of ensure that you're going to have a great experience with that.
All right, Ben, give us the details, the specifics, the logistics, please.
Yes, absolutely. One other thing I got to quickly mention here, too. New this year, the Cowboys from Hell Snake Pit. I'm excited about this. I am deathly afraid of snakes, so you're probably not going to see me real close to this exhibit, but it is a rattlesnake pit that we will have at the show. It's going to be open all hours of the show where people can come down there and check them out, and these guys will be there manning it, but they also are going to be doing shows daily where, they're actually, kind of having these snakes do different things, and it really a great opportunity to see that. We don't get to see that a lot in Michigan. Obviously, we don't have a lot of rattlesnakes.
Thank God.
And so these guys are there presenting really a great presentation on that. And ultimately, it really is kind of, they're doing it to kind of give a better understanding of rattlesnakes and that they don't necessarily have this horrible name, and I'll trust them on that. I'm still not going to get real close, but that is something new that you want to check out this year. But as far as details of the show, obviously, we open up Thursday, February 19th. We're 1 to 8. Friday, we're noon to 8. Saturday, 10 to 8. And then Sunday, 10 to 5. Admission's $12 for adults. Children 6 to 14 are 5, and 5 and under are free. And you probably forgot everything I said there, but you can go to Outdoorama.com for all.
You are a true pro. Outdoorama.com, Outdoorama.com. I'm with you, Ben. I will not be looking at those snakes. We'll take a break for the top of the hour. When we come back in our second hour, Tony Windt talks about wintertime crow hunting. Then Nick Grillo of Michigan Brand Meats.
Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Mike Avery has covered the outdoors in Michigan for more than 4 decades, and that tradition continues today. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Yater Insurance Group, Angler Quest Pontoons, The Forward Corporation, Security Credit Union, Offshore Tackle, Hammond Drives and Equipment, Garber Chevrolet, the West Branch Visitors Bureau, Rapid River Knife Works, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Indeed, this is Mike Avery, the big guy. Thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome. Welcome to hour number 2 of this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show right here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network. And I do firmly, strongly, sincerely believe the best way to listen to the show, if you can, is on your local radio station. Radio stations are the backbone of what this Outdoor Magazine concept, this Outdoor Magazine radio franchise is all about. So I would ask you to support our affiliate stations if you can. If you can't, if you live in some part of our state not covered by the broadcast signal, or if your local station doesn't carry all 3 hours of the show, isn't it nice to know that there's a backup? There's a podcast version of the show that's also available. Now, where do you hear the podcast? That's an excellent question. You hear the radio show, the radio version, on your local radio station. The podcast version of the show is exactly the same content, but it's just made available somewhere else. Where can you hear it? You can hear it on my website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. I also put it up on the Facebook page. I put it up on YouTube and all of your usual podcast outlets. I'm talking about, Apple Music, Google Play, iHeart, SoundCloud, Spotify, yada, 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 yada. I do like podcasting. I think podcasting is a very interesting form of communication. And I do podcasts for some of my advertising partners each month, including Angler Quest Pontoons, Killer Food Plots, and Offshore Tackle. And when we're done recording this week's radio show, we will record this month's Offshore Tackle podcast, this time with Roy Miller, talking about trolling the Detroit River for walleye in the springtime. Now, that is usually a drifting and jigging fishery, but more and more folks are trolling it. I am a troller at heart. I love to troll. There's something about it I find fascinating, relaxing, productive, and I do find myself thinking about, I can't wait till the ice is gone on Saginaw Bay. I know a lot of you are thinking, Avery, don't do that to us. We love ice fishing on Saginaw Bay. I get that. I'm not really an ice fisherman. I find myself thinking about springtime trolling out there on the bay. You know me, I'm a skinny water guy. I love that skinny water. And I'm not the only guy. A buddy of mine, his name is Tony Windt. He is a fellow skinny water troller as well. But this time of year, he's also a crow hunter. This is interesting because I had a guy just the other day say, Mike, I'd love to hear you talk about crow hunting. And then Tony, who is a hardcore crow hunter, volunteered to come on the show. Tony, I appreciate that, buddy. How are you?
Good, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing great. Do you find yourself, Tony, thinking about summertime trolling yet?
Oh, yeah. We can't come fast enough.
You're a fellow skinny water guy like me. Can we talk about this just for a second? Why do you like the skinny water? Why do you like the skinny water so much?
Well, you don't have to go way out in the bay, and I only got a 14-foot boat, and I've been using it since it's a 1986 Sylvan onto there, and I don't have to go way out in the bay. The walleye are in there close all year round until the water gets too hot, and we get a northeaster, and it rolls the water out, and the bait fish go out, and the walleye go out, then they never really come back then until back into springtime.
But that skinny water can be so effective. You know where the fish are. They're they're right there. They're in that 5, 6, 7, 8 feet of water, whatever it is. And when they're in there, they're just aggressive as can be.
Yeah, right. Yep. And you don't spend a lot of time driving way out in the bay, going way out there, and that. And if something comes up, I can get back in really close because I'm usually within a mile or two from my launches onto there, so I can get back in if a storm picks up or something like that too. Yeah,
and I love to be in there skinny trolling back and forth, getting fish and watching these guys running out 10 miles or so. I'm like, all right, have fun, burn your gas. I know there's fish out there, but you're running by fish too.
Oh yes, they are.
Well, Tony, it's not going to be, well, it is. It's going to be a while yet before we get back out there, but we can dream, buddy. We can dream.
Yes. Yep, you're right. We do every year. We've been doing it for a long, long time, Mike.
Oh, I know it. But in the meantime, this time of year, tell me about crow hunting, Tony, because this is something I've wanted to talk with you about for a long time. And it's not a sport that a lot of people get involved in. Or am I wrong here? Is it a bigger sport than I realize?
No, there ain't very many. We hardly ever see anybody else crow hunting. I think one time last year we heard some guys a couple of miles away from us at one spot that were shooting, and that's what we figured they were doing was crow hunting. And that's the only time we've really ever heard of anybody else shooting crows around where we've been going on there. And we go from Bay County to Aranet County to Gladwin County, Midland County, and Saginaw County. We hunt all of them counties like that, and we just never see anybody else around in that hunting them.
What are you looking for? What makes a good crow hunting spot?
I think it's hard in Michigan to find a flyways. We're down south. When they hunt down there, they see them on these videos, and they're hunting them, and they're just staying in one spot and they're just coming and coming and coming. Well, it ain't that way in Michigan. There's very few spots in Michigan where you can find a flyway where you can sit in one spot and hunt all day long one spot. You got to have a place where you can go and you can hunt 2 or 3. It's run and gun. You know, you sit there for a couple hours and they quit coming. You pack up your stuff and you go to your next spot and you do the same thing on that until by the end of the day you've hit 3 or 4 spots maybe in one area like that. But then you don't come back to that spot for a week or 2 weeks later, and you go to these other spots that you have around on there. But it's tougher in Michigan because we have taller trees in Michigan and more trees. It's hard to shoot through all these trees and everything on there. So, you know, it's different from what people show on the videos down south where they're sitting in a field, they sit there and they shoot 200 crows down there. It just don't happen that way here.
I don't know if you guys shoot 200 crows in a whole season, do you?
Yeah, we do.
Do you?
We shoot. It took us 6 years to get 1,000 crows. Because I keep track of them. I write them down on a calendar. And it took us 6 years to get 1,000 crows.
And crows have a reputation of actually being pretty smart, aren't they?
Oh yes, they are. They are very smart. You got to have good camouflage on that and not move because they can pick you off when you move onto there. So if you see them coming, you just let them come till they're right on top of you. But if they're coming and they spot something and they start to fly off to one side or the other, then you got to shoot onto there. But if they're coming, you let them come.
Well, and will they come in as a group, or do they send one in as a sentry first, and then the rest of them come in? How does that work?
Yeah, sometimes you hear that about you got just that spy that's coming in. You know, he'll come in by himself, and another group stays back onto there. But most of the time, you know, they'll be straggling behind that lead one. That's why when you see that one coming, you got to look behind him because the big group can be coming behind him. So you really don't want to shoot that first one if you don't have to. But if he's all by himself, he's fair game for everybody.
So are you using decoys? Are you using calls?
Oh,
How
yeah,
does this work?
Yeah, we use, right now we got 20 decoys, and we spread them all out, and you hang a few in the trees, and then you have something on the ground. You have a little, we have a little toy doggy with some blood on it and everything, you know, that looks like the clothes are pecking around it and that.
Yeah.
Or a deer hide. You lay a deer hide out there. We have a tan deer hide, and we lay that out there and put some crows around it like that. But then we have electronic call that them crows will come into that electronic call onto there. And when they come in, sometimes they come in, sometimes they don't. You know, they're a real finicky bird on there. And some days they'll come, and some days they won't come onto there. Some of them will come in there just squawking to be heck want to come in and fight, you know, onto there. But then some days they flare off one way or the other. Then you got to try to change your setups or something like that out there. Like, what do they see it different, or somebody's moving or that, you know, and they pick you off moving onto that.
So the crows are scavengers.
Oh, yeah, right. They're scavengers. They'll get in garbage bag. Matter of fact, the other day we was going down the road, and there were 3 crows in the ditch, and we got up there and looked down the ditch. There was a garbage bag in the ditch. So you can use a garbage bag for a bait out there if you wanted to onto that, because it's black and it's down in there, and they realize that, especially the ones that are around towns they go in your garbages around town, so they know what that garbage bag's all about. They ain't dumb.
Hang tight, Tony. We got to take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine show. We're talking with my buddy Tony Windt, who is a hardcore wintertime crow hunter. And I've had people say, hey, can you talk about crow hunting? Well, not till Tony agreed to come on the show, because he is my crow hunting expert and also my fellow skinny water brother. It's coming, Tony. It's coming. We'll take a break. When we come back, more with Tony talking about wintertime crow hunting. And then Nick Grillo from Michigan Brand Meats. And we'll wrap up the hour with this week's Ask Avery segment coming up right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Sheboygan on Big Country Gold WCBY, 1240 AM, 100.7 FM. You can hear us in Sandusky, WMIC, 660 AM, 95.3 FM. And you can hear us north of the bridge in the Sioux, WKNW, 1400 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine, you know what that is, right? All right, just one more time. That's my Rapid River knife, locking back open. I just took it out of my pocket. And boy, this one is, I got to be honest, is looking a little bit rough. And this is the prototype version of the Avery signature knife. So I need to clean it up a little bit. I need to sharpen up the edge on this a little bit, but I'm not too worried about it because this knife will last forever, like all Rapid River knives are guaranteed for life. Go to the website, rapidriverknifeworks.com, rapidriverknifeworks.com, or check out their showroom on US 2 just east of Rapid River for a very interesting experience. I mean, it's just a beautiful place, great people, knives that will last forever. I can't say enough about them, rapidriverknifeworks.com. Right now, talking with a buddy of mine, Tony Windt. And Tony, did you hear we're going to have another Wednesday night live at the Lumberjack on April 15th? Maybe you and Randy can make it up again.
Yes, I already got it wrote down. I'm just waiting for a day when we can call in and get our reservations in.
I'll let you know as soon as we open those up, Tony. I appreciate that so very much. But we're talking about crow hunting right now. How did you get started in this? How long have you guys been doing this?
Well, I got started into it not as long as one of my buddies. One of my fishing buddies got me interested into it about at least 10 years ago or so, I would say. Got me interested into it, and then I got my brothers both interested in it, and they come in there, and we have a few other guys that come into it, because not everybody can go on the same day all the time on there, but yeah, it was something to do in the wintertime when you have a few months that you can't really do much. It's open in February and March, in August and September onto there, and so we can't deer hunt then. And I don't really get into ice fishing much anymore. I used to be a big ice fisherman, but once I got older onto there, that cold kind of settles in on us on there a little bit harder.
So when you go out crow hunting, do you guys go out as a group?
Yeah, right. Yeah, we go out as a group. Most of the time, we just have one vehicle. We either got 4 or 5 guys in it. Sometimes there's only 3 of us. But, yeah, we go as a group. Or the other day, we went out for the first day, and there was 6 of us went out the other day on there. But we only got 3 crows the other day. They weren't flying too much, but there was a lot of snow machine noise around and that, and we kind of goofed up and set up in the wrong spot because of the snow machines were all that we didn't really expect on there was going to be around.
I keep going back to the crows being smarter than people realize. These things are a pretty tough target, aren't they?
Oh, they are extremely tough target. And one thing that we found out when we started first shooting crows that you wouldn't. You seem like you shot them and you could see them move and everything, that you must have hit them and that. But then we changed up and we went to better shells. Instead of down south they use them 7.5 and 8s and low brass and all that. No, we're using good shells on it. Most of the time they're duck shells and they're like 1,400 to 1,550 a feet. because they fly high here in Michigan and you got to shoot through a lot of trees sometimes and that. And they can really take a wallop, on that, because I've stopped them with them good shells on there when you're paying $16, $17 plus a box when you buy them by the hundreds onto there. And they keep right on going, but then once in a while you'll see them go across the field, and they're about halfway across the field, and all of a sudden they just fall out there dead onto that. But you got to use good shells, it seems like, on these ones in Michigan, because they take a wallop, but they just don't fall in that. They just keep right on going.
Do you shoot them on
use good shells.
Do you shoot them on the fly, or do sometimes?
No, yeah, you got to shoot them on the fly. You hardly ever see them come in and land on your stuff onto there. They're so smart. When they get, the closer they get, the smarter they get onto there. So you got to take advantage. Most of the time, if they're coming straight at you, when they're coming in like that, you got to let that first one come in, because the big group might be behind it. But if you got a long distance, you can see this one's just a straggler come in. Well, he's fair game for everybody then.
You guys ever try eating them, or is it strictly population control?
Oh yeah, just a population control. Yeah.
Although I bet we could get Dixie Dave to cook one up. I bet he could make it taste good.
Yeah, Randy always sends me a recipe from people down south. They do eat them down south, and and he'll send me a recipe once in a while of crows on there just to get after me.
So I want to go back to the specifics of how you guys hunt these. The calls that you use, these are electronic calls. They're not mouth calls.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they're electronic calls with a speaker onto it. Actually, the more money you spend for your call, the better the sound is onto there. That when it's going out like that, you could buy them ones for like $100 or so like that, but they ain't got the good quality sound, and they ain't got as many sounds. Where you can buy the ones for $400, and they got really good sound, and they carry out in that, because when the crows are coming in. And they come in, but then they fly off and that. Well, my buddy, he has an electronic call, so he calls his fight call onto there. And a lot of times they turn right around, they come right back when they hear that fight call on there. And they'll come right back in, and then you get a shot at them. Or sometimes you even shoot at them, and they fly away on there. And you turn that electronic call on that fight one on there, and they'll whip it around. They'll come right back in. You get another shot at them.
How far away can you call a crow in from?
Oh, you can call them. Oh, it's unreal how far they can hear. But most of the time, when we sit in this one spot, we can see them crows are half a mile away, because there's two 40-acre fields, and they fly over this and at the end of it. So that's a half a mile away. And we see them fly across way over there, they turn that call on, and they come all the way across. So more than a half a mile away, they can hear that call. And if the wind's blowing and the sound's carrying with the wind, that's even farther yet.
Are they squawking when they come in? Are they answering your call?
Sometimes, most of the time, they're pretty quiet, but sometimes they come in really squawking, like they want to fight. When they see all these crows and you're down on that deer hide or that little doggy that we have laying there, on there, and they want to fight. They come in, then they'll start squawking and that again. But a lot of times, no, they just come in quiet. You can see them coming across the fields or through the woods or something like that. But they're up in the air, though. A lot of times they fly high here in Michigan. They show them down in their videos down south. They show them all the time that they ain't really high. They're coming in low out there, but they don't have the woods and all that we have here in Michigan down south. Where I see on these videos on that, how it just seems like it's a two different way of hunting down there.
Have you ever thought about making a trip down south to hunt them?
No, not really. On there, I'd like to hunt them anywhere. If there's got crows they want them shot, I'll shoot them. It don't bother me.
Well, all right, there's an interesting point. You say if people have got crows, they want them shot. Do landowners get in touch with you and say, "Hey, we got too many crows. Let's thin them out"?
No. Most of the time, if you get a hold of farmers, don't like crows. I should tell you that. I don't know if I ever met a farmer that didn't like a crow on there. So the most of the time they will let you hunt on your property. A farmer will. And most of the time it's only like in February and March, so it ain't going to hurt nothing. Then the other one is August and September, and most of the time they're either you're picking the corn off and that, and they don't want them doing that too because they're taking their crops and stuff like that, so they want them out of there too.
Do you hunt that August, September period?
Oh, yeah. It's a lot nicer hunting it then because you got to put up with the cold weather and everything, but sometimes it's too hot. Sometimes by noontime, you can't stand it out there anymore because, you're in camouflage clothes and that on there. And by noontime, you're getting out of there because it might be 70, 80 degrees and you got all those camouflage clothes on.
Do the birds act different in the summertime hunt versus the winter hunt?
No, not really. No, but wherever you got food, that's the main thing. They could be hot field somewhere around, and they're going to go to that until all the food's gone onto it. But no, it's both ways onto there. I don't know how many crows actually go south. They say there's a lot of crows down south in the wintertime on that. But if you find your areas in the wintertime, the crows are all over. There's crows everywhere in Michigan. There's a lot of crows in the UP. When you go to the UP, you see crows everywhere up there.
And so what do they eat? You said they'll eat garbage, they'll eat roadkill, they're scavengers, but don't they eat grain and stuff too?
Yeah, right. Yeah, they eat the grain. That's why the farmers don't like them. They eat the grain, they eat their crops and that, on there all the time. And that's why farmers don't like them. That's why most of the time, the farmer will let you hunt crows on there. You really know, you ain't really damaging his crops or anything else like that. And there ain't very many guys crow hunt, so, like deer hunters, they are shy to let everybody deer hunt, on their crops and that. But crow hunting, this is a little different story because they're taking their crops from them.
Well, Tony, I appreciate you jumping on the show with me this week and talking about crow hunting. It's something we've been trying to do for a long time, so I do appreciate that. I think it sounds fascinating. I think it sounds interesting. I think it sounds like a lot of fun. And
well, once you get into it, one day, Mike, we had our best day ever. We went out and we got 51 crows, and there was 4 of us. And we were divvying up shells at the end, and we all ran out of shells that day, and we went home onto there. And we had 51 crows that day. That was our finest day ever. We just did it right that day for some reason on that, and we all ran out of shells. We shot over 200 times that day between the 4 of us.
The days you remember, those days and those days on Saginaw Bay in that skinny water after those summertime walleye. It's coming, Tony. Hang in there, buddy. It's coming. Tony Windt, a great guy, a hardcore outdoorsman. Appreciate your time this week. We'll take a break here. When we come back, Nick Grillo of Michigan Brand. Now, Nick and Michigan Brand donated to our Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction. Michigan Brand meets for a year. How cool is that? But we're going to talk about some other things as well. And then we'll wrap up the hour with this week's Ask Avery segment coming up right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Houghton Lake on the Twister 92.1 WTWS. You can hear us in Ludington on News 97.98, 98.7 WLDN. And you can hear us north of the bridge in Marquette, WDMJ 1320 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Killer Food Plots. I know you're not putting in food plots right now. I know you're not hunting over food plots, but it's not too early to start thinking about the springtime food plot planting season. And I'm going to be working with Rich Krazan of Killer Food Plots, Michigan-based, family-owned. I think Rich does a great job, very conscientious. You got a lot of money tied up in your food plots, so why not try to get the best results that you can? I highly recommend Killer Food Plots. Check them out online at killerfoodplots.com. That's killerfoodplots.com. You know I love Michigan-based family-owned companies like Killer Food Plots and like Michigan brand meats. The Grillo family of Michigan brand are just wonderful people. As an example of that, they have once again offered up Michigan brand meats for a year as one of our live auction items at our Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction coming up Saturday, March 7th. Nick Grillo of Michigan brand is on the Outdoor Magazine phone line now. Nick, welcome back, buddy. How are you?
Hey, Mike. Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Hey, thank you again for your generosity on that. Michigan brand has always been very supportive of what we're doing, from the ham for the holidays to the Avery Hunter Sticks, to donations for different events. So you're good people, Nick, and I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, we're happy to do it.
So tell me what's going on at Michigan brand. We haven't talked for a while. What's going on?
Yeah, not too much. We're kind of in that dog days of ice season, huh? So, we slowed down a little bit after the holidays there. We had a heck of a ham season. It was one of the better ones we've had in a while, so that was great to see.
Good.
And, it's just kind of like anything. You go through so many, and you kind of get tired of seeing them. So I was seeing hams in our sleep and started saying, man, when is it going to be over? And then you get past it, and you're thankful for what you just went through and thankful how it went and everything like that. So we're happy of how the season turned out. But on to the next thing. So then we slow down a little bit, and we're happy to have a snow and ice fishing season. Isn't that kind of nice to have this year?
It is. I mean, not so much for me personally, but just for the state in general and outdoors men and women. Yes, absolutely. It's wonderful.
And that's what I mean. It helps us with a lot of our stores, and obviously it's not just the UP. Any parts in Michigan, there's ice everywhere, there's snow everywhere. It's not just snowmobiling, it's skiing, it's anything, even just taking the kids out. And so there's a lot of people that are out doing fun stuff, and that's helping us with a lot of our stores across the state. So that is nice to see. And we're kind of getting into the season of these hunting and fishing shows, and we got a couple of those coming up.
Where are you going to be?
And looking forward to that.
Where are you
we're
going to
be at Calvary Baptist there in Midland.
Yeah.
They're doing another sportsman expo right there at the church, and I think that's the 21st here of February. And so that's only a couple weeks from here, 2 weeks or so. And we're going to be giving out samples there. We're going to be selling product there on site. We've done that for a couple of years. That's a fun one. And then in March, I think it's the 21st also, it's that weekend, they're having a fishing expo at Northwoods Wholesale there in Pinconning.
Ah.
And same thing, we're going to be up there. It's just on Saturday. We're going to be there for the day, and we're going to be giving away some product and selling some product there. So a couple little fun shows that we're, filling the time, doing some fun stuff and giving out free samples. And, yeah, looking forward to spring already.
Oh, I'm looking forward to spring too, Nick. Listen, you guys have been around for a while. What's the story of how Michigan brand got started?
So, yeah, I mean, it's a great family story where we've been around since the early 80s. So my grandpa, which is actually Mike and Karen, my mom and dad, their mom's dad. So it's Art Bisna. Art and Mary Lou, they started this business back in the early 80s, and it used to be called Bay City Meats. And my grandpa kind of did more like restaurant meats, like even burger patties, and he even did some deli meats like salami and bolognas and stuff like that. And we had a meat case here and everything, and then at our Bay City location. Then my mom and dad purchased the business in the late 80s. And in 1994, my dad had a gut feeling that jerky was going to take off across the state. And he changed the business to Michigan brand. And luckily his gut, it worked, man. It was jerky from there on out. Just jerky got real popular, and so we started across the whole state then. And then I came in, in the early 2000s, started working in high school. I was here as a baby, obviously, getting in the back and playing around. And then I started working in high school, so now me and my brother Joe are working here. My mom and dad still own the business, so we're a third-generation family that's been around since the 80s, and, yeah, we love it.
A great Michigan-based, family-owned company that makes great products. MichiganBrand.net, MichiganBrand.net. Nick, always a pleasure. Thanks for your support of everything we get involved in. I would ask for people to support your company as well, MichiganBrand.net. Go to that website, use the Mike20 discount, get 20% off your entire order. There's also a store locator button on that website. Put in your zip code, and you can find a store near you. We'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up this hour with this week's Ask Avery segment, a couple of topics I might talk about, and we'll decide during the break. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Houghton Lake on 98.5 WUPS. You can hear us in St. Joe on WSJM 94.9 FM and north of the bridge in Manistee, WTIQ 1490 AM 95.3 FM. The Ask Avery segment is brought to you each week by the good folks at Security Credit Union. Security Credit Union loves to work with outdoors men and women, and they can help you with your next outdoor adventure. Check them out online at securitycu.org. That's securitycu.org. The way the Ask Avery segment works, this is your chance to get involved in the content of the show. You can ask a question that you want me to answer directly, or something that you want me to pass along to somebody else, maybe somebody that I have access to or can reach more easily than you can. The best way to get those questions to me is to send me an email, mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. That's mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. Please don't send them to me in a social media message. I get a lot of social media messages, and I realize I'm not seeing them for days or a couple of weeks or whatever, so I try to do my best. But if you want to reach me for an Ask Avery question or any other purpose, the best way is a good old-fashioned email to mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. That's mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. There are a couple of them that I was working on and hoping to have an answer right now, and I don't. So let me go back and do an end run here and circle back, as they say, and just talk about the types of questions we get in general. I have a folder here that I've taken, hopefully all of the Ask Avery questions, and I put them into this folder. And as I look at them right now, and these are things I'm working on, a question about weed treatment in southern Michigan inland lakes. Asking if you can put a deer out of its misery or if it's only a licensed police officer. Oh, we got a bunch of good ones here that I'm still working on. Most of the questions, when I look back on them, I would say 75% or so are directed at the DNR and directed at law enforcement division and looking for clarification on fish and game laws. They're not the type of thing you see like on PBS. You'll get Ask the Game Warden segments. Those usually end up being Stump the Game Warden because people want to just keep throwing questions. Well, what about? What if? No, the type of questions we get for the Ask Avery segment are not like that. They're good, I'm going to say legitimate questions where people are trying to figure things out. I have said this forever. I believe that the vast majority of Michigan hunters and anglers are good, solid, law-abiding conservation stewards who want to do the right thing, who do not go into the field or on the water to intentionally break a fish or game law. Are there some people who do that? Yes. But those are the same people, in my experience over the years. They're dirtbags. If you go out to intentionally shoot a deer after dark with a spotlight, you're probably also involved in something else. It's either drugs or you're a thief or something else. I mean, a dirtbag is a dirtbag is a dirtbag. You get that? If you live in that world, that's the type of thing you do. But Most of us aren't like that. We want to do the best thing. We strive to do the best thing. We strive to do the right thing. But I believe that if you spend enough time in the woods or on the water, that you will eventually unintentionally break a fish or game law. It's like driving. Do we get behind the wheel to go out and intentionally break driving laws, traffic laws? No. Do we probably break a traffic law every time we get on the road? Yeah. Are you going to sneak above the speed limit a couple of miles an hour? Yeah. Are you going to forget to maybe use a turn signal? Well, I try to use mine all the time, but I know people who don't. They think the turn signal is actually an option on their car. So, yeah, you're going to break a fish or game law. And it seems like that our fish and game laws these days are so convoluted and so confusing that it's really hard to get a handle on them. Why do we have so many fish and game laws? Why don't we, and I don't know if the word is recodify or recodify, and I apologize for that, but we need to have a reclassification of our game laws to pare these things down to just have laws that are common sense, that are either designed to protect the resource or designed to protect hunters and anglers. Right? Beyond that, what does it matter? Protect the resource and keep people safe. But there's so many of these, like, okay, so you come in for lunch and you lean your gun against the truck. Big deal. Are you trying to do something wrong? Are you doing that so you can shoot a deer when it comes out on the roadway? No. You're not trying to do anything. So I think we need to simplify these game laws. We need to make them easier for people to understand so you don't have to take a lawyer with you in the field, as the old joke goes. So if you have a question for me, send them off. Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com, Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. And thank you to the folks at Security Credit Union for making each week's Ask Avery segment possible. Check them out online at securitycu.org. That's securitycu.org. When we come back in our third and final hour, Paul Phillips talks about using a suppressor on your hunting rifle. Is it a good idea or is it just wasted money? We'll find out coming up in hour 3 of this week's Outdoor Magazine.
Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Mike Avery has covered the outdoors in Michigan for more than 4 decades, and that tradition continues today. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Yater Insurance Group, Angler Quest Pontoons, The Forward Corporation, Security Credit Union, Offshore Tackle, Hammond Drives and Equipment, Garber Chevrolet, the West Branch Visitors Bureau, Rapid River Knife Works, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to hour number 3 of this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show right here on the Outdoor Magazine radio network on great radio stations across this great state of Michigan as we work our way through wintertime. This is the first full weekend of February that we have a chance to talk here on the show. How is your winter going? Are you enjoying it? Are you ready for it to be done? Do you want it to continue on for a while yet? Doesn't really matter what we want, though, does it? I mean, Mother Nature is going to do what she wants. And regardless of what the Punxsutawney Phil said or saw his shadow or whatever, it's going to be winter for a while yet. I will admit to starting to develop a pretty good case of spring fever, which is not productive at all. I mean, it's going to be a while. Talking in the second hour, if you're with us in the second hour, I was talking with my buddy Tony Windt about summertime trolling on Saginaw Bay. He's another skinny water guy. In fact, we fish a lot of the same water, and he said he's thinking the same thing. He's looking forward to it. Getting to be springtime. But the good news is, if you like winter, and a lot of people in Michigan do, I mean, why not? Why not celebrate the seasons? Why not take advantage of the fact that we have a change in seasons and make the most of it? Jump on the snow machine, go skiing, cross country or downhill. Do some wintertime rabbit hunting, wintertime coyote hunting, ice fishing. Get out there on the ice. We haven't had an ice fishing or an ice season like this in a long time, in a lot of years. So I am not much of an ice fisherman these days. I will probably venture out on Saginaw Bay. Maybe once, probably go out with my son James and our mutual friend Mike Smith of Offshore A-Count Sport Fishing. And I will make this caveat. Saginaw Bay is a wonderful destination for ice anglers, wonderful destination. If you are coming in to this area, to the bay, from outside, if you're coming from the west side of the state or coming from the north or coming from the south, and you haven't spent a lot of time on the bay in the wintertime, be careful. I'm not one of those people who says, the ice is never safe and, you're never going to come back from it. Of course not. Of course, it can be extremely safe. But when you get out on, big water, big ice, you gotta keep your wits about you. And I recommend going out with people who have experience. A ride along is a good option. A lot of the charter captains, the fishing guides, offer this service. They're two-tier services. You can book a trip with them, get a ride out with them on their sled, usually a snowmobile. That's what most of the folks prefer. Sit in one of their shanties with their heaters, use their rods, their baits, their holes. Or you can take your own gear and ride out with them, which I think is a wonderful option. They're not going to give you the service. They're not going to give you the attention that you would get if you're booking a trip. But if you want to get out there on the ice and you want to get out into an area that's holding fish, I think the ride-alongs are a really, really good option. I'm tap dancing here a little bit. I'm waiting to get to our first guest, but I think we've got some kind of a technical problem going on here in the studio because the troops have come in and looked at things and then left in a hurry with a. There, Charlie, we good? Something going on? We're good. Okay, so we can get. All right. So we switched gears. Is that we did? You came in and took over? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So can we get Paul on the line now? I mean, he's on the line. Can we bring him into the show? Paul, you there?
I'm here, Dave. Yeah, I'm here.
I was tap dancing away, just kind of filling time, waiting for somebody to come in and open up the phone line. Paul Phillips, how you doing, buddy?
Good, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing good. Now let's set the stage here. Paul Phillips, one of the most well-known extreme long-range shooters, literally in the world. A Michigan guy. You grew up in the state. You went off and did your service for the country. You got your shooting skills, the basics there. But since then, you have fine-tuned and honed these skills to become, honestly, Paul, one of the best-known extreme long-range shooters in the world. That's not an exaggeration. That's not an overstatement, is it?
Well, I'm humbled by that, Mike. I try my best, and I just have a fun time now trying to give back to the community.
Well, and the ways you do this are you're training civilians, you're training military, you're training police officers, and you have literally, and I can't get too much into your business here, but you've literally traveled the world teaching people how to shoot better, haven't you?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm starting to take my wife on these places around the world. We're going to, we were just in Vegas for the SHOT Show, saw a lot of cool things. Technology is booming, and then I got invited to go to Nuremberg, Germany in a few weeks for the European version of the SHOT Show. So I'll be visiting folks and future clients over there. And as you well know, I've been to Germany, Italy, England, all over the European theater, and there's a lot of interest in these long-range shooting games and sports, and also the military, law enforcement, and hunting as well.
Anything it shot that got your attention?
There was. I wanted to kind of briefly go over some stuff with you and the listeners. Night Force Scopes launched their NX6 line. I've been a long time, 20-plus year competitive shooter using Night Force and won a lot of my, national and world championships and records with them. I highly encourage people to take a look at the Night Force NX6 line. It's a more attractive pricing, under $2K, and it still has the, rugged, reliable, repeatable brand that I highly recommend. And they have a huge offering for hunters with various magnifications and usage. So that was one thing that they just launched, which I highly encourage. And then also, our own Michigan-based company, GSL Technology, has launched, cans for the 350 Legend, the 400 Legend, and the 450 Bushmaster, which is going to be huge for Michigan hunters as they go down that road. Another line of things, also a Michigan-based company, the Bear Creek Ballistics out of Battle Creek area. They're making ammo now for 350 Legend, 400 Legend, and 450 Bushmaster. And the dealers in Michigan that I recommend for everybody to go to is the Southern Michigan folks. You got Not Just Guns out of Mason. The Central Michigan folks, Williams Gun Shop out of Auburn. And then the Northern folks can use Jay's and Gaylord and Claire. They distribute these suppressors, which I highly recommend.
I want to talk more about suppressors. In fact, at length,
Sure.
Cans as they're known. But I want to go back.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about magnification options on a hunting scope. What, in your opinion, what is the best magnification for a Michigan hunter? Is it a 3x9? Do we need something longer or what?
Well, it depends, obviously, where you're hunting, right? If it's open, big, long, open shots in fields, or if it's a lot of vegetation and a lot of brush where you're not shooting that far, I would tend to stick to the 1-6 and 2 and 12 for the swamps and, close shots. And then if you're hunting open fields or hardwoods where you're getting out there a couple, 300-400 yards, then I would lean toward the 3 to 18 and 4 to 24.
18, 24, wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I actually, down in southern Michigan with my 400 Legend, I really gravitated toward the 3 to 18, 4 to 24, just because when it gets late at night and they're a couple hundred yards away, you can zoom in and see their antlers, or maybe the size of the deer if you're doe hunting or whatever. You can judge the antlers and the size of the deer a little bit better with that more magnification.
When you go in that far, are you going to lose a lot of light gathering capability?
You will, yeah. The higher the magnification, the less light gathering. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But with the new optics they're coming out with today, they have really high-end optics and clarity. It's a lot better than 20 years ago.
Hey, everything is as far as technology, right? Mm-hmm. We're talking with Paul Phillips of Global Precision Group. You can check out his website, gpgtraining.com. That's gpgtraining.com. Paul, we got to take a break. Stand by. When we come back, we'll talk more with Paul. And this is the topic this time around. Suppressors, cans. Some people call them silencers. They're not really silencers. There's been a change in the process for getting a suppressor. There's no longer a federal tax stamp, and the turnaround time from the time you apply until you get approval is now days, weeks at the most, which is a lot better than what it used to be, months and months and months. So more people are getting suppressors. I've got one on my 350 Legend. Is it for you? Paul is the guy to find out. We'll talk to him more after the break right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Port Huron, WPHM 1380 AM, and in Tawas, WIOS 1480 AM, 106.9 FM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by the Truck Trolley, Michigan-based, family-owned. Again, you know I love that. Listen, how many times have you had to crawl up over your tailgate into the front of the bed of your truck to grab something that slid forward, or do what I used to do and use my old man stick, which is basically a broom handle with a hook on the end of it, to reach over that tailgate, again, way up into the front of the bed and pull it back. If you got a truck trolley, you don't worry about that, because a truck trolley immediately makes your entire bed accessible. All you do is grab it, pull it out on the rollers, and there it is. If you decide you don't want it in there for a couple of days because you got to haul gravel or stone or something like that, you just take it out. You can take it out in a couple of minutes. It's in there with straps. It's not bolted in. It's not permanent. I think it's a great product. I really enjoy using it. I use it every day, from groceries to golf clubs to hunting and fishing gear to whatever. Check them out online. It's trucktrolley.com. It's trucktrolley.com. While you are online, please check out my website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com, and also the website of Paul Phillips. That's gpgtraining.com, gpgtraining.com. You know Paul from his extreme long-range shooting adventures the past few years. He's successfully made shots out to a distance of, I think, 4 miles is the longest one, which is absolutely crazy. But this time around, we want to talk about suppressors, cans. You might know them as silencers. Paul, you've been using cans or suppressors longer than anybody that I know. How do these things work? How effective are they?
Well, my ears are ringing right now from all the years of shooting guns and military and law enforcement, and I can't imagine. I mean, you shot your gun this year with a can on it. I can't imagine ever again not using one. All these young hunters, they're shooting their rifles and at the rifle range, and we've all done it before where we forgot to put our ear protection in all the way or on correctly or even on, and we got that loud blast and your ears are ringing for days. Yeah. It save your hearing. There's no, and now, obviously with these suppressors being legal for everybody to own, and then the ATF took the tax stamp away, I highly encourage people to check it out. And now GSL technology has made a more attractive pricing can as well for hunters. It's called the Bushman series, $400.
Oh, $400? That's half
$400.
Oh my gosh!
Absolutely. Not only that, but I want to tell people. I just got word from the owner, Greg Lacka, and he said he'd be willing to do a 15% off if you use GPG26 code. You can call and give that code, and all the listeners can get 15% off on any GSL can, which is cool. One thing I will say, Mike, is there's, now that the ATF has taken the tax stamp away, there's a lot of internet do-it-yourselfers and backyard mechanics that are going to start making these things. Be very, very careful. GSL has been doing this for 41 years in the aerospace industry, and they have an ISO 9001 rating, which means all their stuff is highly, highly researched and developed, the qualities of metals and the way they do their machining. That's why I recommend them, because they're super accurate and repeatable, and they're just way better than anything you ever find. And for $400, why would you risk?
Wow.
Why would you risk something exploding or blowing up in your face? So it's a serious matter.
Now there are several companies that make suppressors, but GSL, I think, is a Michigan company, aren't they?
Yeah, they're made in Jackson, Michigan.
Okay.
They've been doing it for over 41 years, and I highly recommend them. Being a Michigan-based company, I'm a little bit more loyal to those folks than others. And then the fact that I've been shooting competition with them for so long, they're higher quality, and I found them to be a little bit better than the rest.
Silencer is not an accurate term, because they don't silence the shot, but they certainly do suppress the sound pressure level and the perceived noise, right?
Yeah, they suppress the air coming out of the muzzle, and they redirect it in ways that it causes less volume, less noise, less concussion, which saves your hearing. And it also, it's better for the neighbors. If you're in some of these areas where you're hunting, some of the landowners may not be as upset early in the morning shots or late in the evening shots of the noise. So it's better for everybody, better for your ears and better for your neighbors and better for the hunters.
How does a suppressor, if at all, affect accuracy?
Well, I can only speak on my own research and development. For a long time, I helped GSL with their research and development with these cans and different types of designs. And the ones that they've been able to continually make better, they've found actually where it's increased accuracy by the design of the airflow going through the can and the recoil management of the rifle. It's actually increased accuracy and reduced sound. So at the same time, they're increasing accuracy and reducing the noise and sound. So it's actually doing twofold.
So a suppressor affects recoil as well?
It will, yeah. And some cartridges, it's a different type of feeling. But when obviously it's changing the way that the air goes through the can, so it's gonna, and sometimes it may change the feel of the recoil.
When I've shot a bear with my 350 Legend with a suppressor on it, and I shot a doe last fall. When I posted a picture, actually of both animals, showing my gun with a can or a suppressor on the end of the barrel, I inevitably got comments from people saying negative things about, why are you using a sniper rifle, or why are you using a military rifle, or were you just really stupid stuff. So what is the reason then, Paul, for using a can? Why would we want to put a suppressor on all of our hunting rifles?
Well, just like I said, all those reasons of not ticking off your neighbors with the loud bangs, not losing your hearing with a loud bang, potentially increasing accuracy, and reducing the signature to all the deer as well, to scare them all away. Sometimes I've shot at deer and they actually run at me, so it redirects the air and it confuses the deer. So there's several reasons why I would say definitely get a suppressor. I mean, I won't hunt without one now.
Any deer who runs at Paul Phillips is in trouble if it's a deer that Paul wants to shoot, that's for sure. What about the multi-cal? Now, like the suppressor that I have is a multi-cal that I can use it up to a 350, but I think technically anything smaller as well. And I thought, well, this is a good idea because, I'm saving some money, but I suspect it's not going to be as effective if I'd shoot a 223 out of it as I do a 350.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they make, caliber-specific cans like the 350, 400, and 450. They also make the multi-cal. I think you have the multi-cal 7.62, which is up to 30 caliber. Is that right, Mike?
I think so.
Yeah, and then they also make another one that goes up to 360. It doesn't really matter that much. You can have a little larger hole, and it still does the same job. It's not, you're splitting hairs, with 20, 30 thousandths difference in a gap. It's not going to make that much of a difference. If you get under a fine microscope, yeah, you'll see a little bit difference, but to a regular human ear, you're probably not going to be able to tell.
Back when these suppressors were $1,200, it made sense to try to get one for multiple guns. But if they're dropping down to $400 now, you can start to look at it with a little bit different light.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a huge deal for if a Michigan hunter wants a can and they want to spend a lot of money, that's the way to go. I will tell you, if we have a few minutes here, I was going to kind of go over the legal stuff. So as of January 1, the law changes where they removed the $200 tax stamp. Wait times, from what I've been gathering from different shops, 2 to 4 weeks. As I mentioned before, you have the Not Just Guns in Mason, Williams Gun Shop in Auburn, and then Jay's and Gaylord and Clare. There's there's a couple different ways to do it. You can do an individual Form 4, which is free. It's just for the one person. Or you can do a trust. There's a single shot trust for one. It's per can. So you do a single shot trust for one suppressor. It's $30. And then you can do an unlimited shot trust for as many suppressors as you want, and that's $130. You can go anything from a high-end titanium suppressor, which is your $1,000 to $1,200 cans, or you do your more attractive pricing with the Bushman series, which is 30 caliber, 36 caliber, and 46 caliber, and those are around $400. So that's kind of, and then the single shot trust, which I just did, I got it in 5 days, Mike.
Oh, I know, it's fast.
5 days for my 400 Legend. It cost me $30. And the single shot, which means you could put your wife or son or daughter on there so they can use that as well. Or you can do the unlimited shot where you can do as many suppressors as you want, as many people as you want. And you can designate them accordingly. So it's kind of a neat deal. They've made it easier for people to buy one, and it's much quicker. And like I said, we talked about the advantages of that.
Can you go back after the fact and change your paperwork to put it in the trust as opposed to a single person? Do you know if you can do that later?
I'm not sure on that. I'm not sure on that, Mike.
Okay, fair
exactly.
enough. Yeah, I don't either. I'm asking because it's something I think I want to do that I should have done in the first place.
Yeah.
I didn't.
I know that you can go online and make changes. I know that because I just did that. So I think they're making it more easier to change it around. And if you have an original traditional trust, you can still do that. You can still do changes and whatnot.
Paul, I have more questions regarding suppressors. Can you stick around? Can I offer you the coveted third? Do you have time for me today?
Sure thing.
I appreciate that. We're talking with Paul Phillips of Global Precision Group, the website gpgtraining.com. That's gpgtraining.com. Paul is a guy, I don't care what you're talking about when it's shooting. Long-range shooting, extreme long-range shooting, hand loading, optics, the science of long-range shooting, cans or suppressors. I can't think of anybody more qualified to talk about it than Paul Phillips of gpgtraining.com. That's gpgtraining.com. We'll take a break. When we come back, more with Paul on using suppressors, and then some word on Dixie Dave coming up as well. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Manistee on WMLQ 97.7 FM. You can hear us north of the bridge, way north of the bridge, Iron Mountain, WMIQ 1450 AM. And in Saginaw, WSGW AM and FM 790 AM, 100.5 FM. I'm in the studios of WSGW right now here with Jonathan Dent, who, if you were with us earlier, you know that I was driving him crazy. He was hearing a high-pitched tone, high-pitched noise that I couldn't hear because of my old ears that I have damaged from shooting without using hearing protection when I was a young man. We found out it was a light, believe it or not. So, John, now we know, right? Now we know. But that ties in very well to what we're talking about right now. We're talking with Paul Phillips of Global Precision Group, gpgtraining.com, about the use of suppressors. I have a suppressor on my Brenton 350 Legend. I'm enjoying hunting with that suppressor. It does make the gun a little longer, so that is the downside. It makes the gun a little more harder to maneuver, but the benefits far outweigh that. Paul, we talked about accuracy. Can I assume then that when we zero in a gun, when we sight in a gun, just sight it in with the can on it, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Whenever I go to the range, I always like to go to the range and get a zero on if I change ammunition or change rifles. Same way with suppressors. If you put a suppressor on a rifle, you need to re-zero it and just keep it on there for the whole season. The point of impact shift will be minimal, but it will be you need to take that into account.
Sure,
You just
sure.
can't accept that it's going to be the same point of impact. Yeah.
Before the break, you told us, and now there are, to set the stage here, there are several companies who make suppressors. You work with GSL, a Michigan-based company, and they're offering, if I heard this right, a 15% discount, even on this new $400 suppressor, GPG 26. How do we get that? Like, I got my suppressor using the kiosk at Jay's. Can I still do that and use this GPG 26 promo code?
No, you'll have to call GSL Technology directly for the 15%. But then when you go to, but they can work it out with whatever location that you want to purchase it. So if you're in southern Michigan, you can go to Not Just Guns and they'll work it out. Or if you go to central Michigan, Williams Gun Shop in Auburn or Jay's up north, and they can work all the details out for the pricing. But for this discount, though, you'd have to contact gsltechnology.com and then tell them, hey, I listened to Mike and Paul on the radio show, GPG26 is the code, and they'll get you 15% off on that. And then you can go to the kiosk at Jay's or the kiosk at Williams Gun Shop or Not Just Guns. They all do the paperwork all for you. So they make it really easy. So you just go in there, pay for it, and then you still have to go through the check, though. They'll still go through, but it's much faster now than it's ever been before.
Well, and I know in talking with the folks at Jay's, they've been very busy now with the feds dropping the tax stamp price, so it's a little bit cheaper. The process is a lot faster than it was. I know that there's a lot of interest in suppressors, and I think they're becoming more popular for hunters across the state, and for the reasons you talked about earlier. There's really, other than making your gun a little longer and a little harder to maneuver, there's really not a downside, is there?
No, that's the only thing that I can think of is what you mentioned, that it's a little bit longer, but you just have to be careful, and when you're walking through the woods or in your blind, is to take note of that. Now, I have a QD, a quick detachment. You can do direct thread or quick detachment, and I just take the can off when I'm going through the woods so it doesn't hit in tree limbs and whatnot. And when I get to my blind, you can direct thread it on there as well, but I just take it off during transport, and then I put it on, and I've taken it off and putting it back on enough to know that the point of impact shift is these are high quality cans so that your zero is going to stay the same. You take it on and off, and they make them for the military and law enforcement for the same purpose. High quality machine. But at the end of the day, Mike, it's absolutely ridiculous to think that all the years that we were younger, those loud blasts ruining our hearing, you can never get it back. So all these young hunters and all these younger folks that are hunting, it'd be ridiculously not to buy one. I mean, it's your hearing. You need it for the rest of your life.
I can't agree with you more, Paul. I'm sitting here in the studio with hearing aids in right now because of stupid things I did when I was a kid that could have been easily prevented. And a suppressor, boy, I agree with you. There's no reason not to do it. Yeah, there's no reason not to do it anymore, especially with these prices.
And I'm so glad that the government has made it easier for us to own these, and and made it easier for the public to purchase one, and they're cheaper now and faster. So it really is a new thing now with the law change, and I'm really happy for it. The things that were discussed with you with your AR and your suppressor, there's just a lot of negative people out there, and I'll just call them negative people that don't understand. Let's just ignore them, We just have to start ignoring those types of folks that are just so negative and so condescending. It's just a rifle. It's just a rifle, and it's just a device that makes it so you don't lose your hearing. That's all it is.
There you go, Paul. I couldn't agree more. Paul Phillips of Global Precision Group, the website gpgtraining.com, gpgtraining.com. To get this discount on the GPG suppressors, get in touch with the company, GPG26, GPG26, and tell them you want the discount price that Paul Phillips was talking about. Thank you, Paul. Always a pleasure. GPGtraining.com. We'll take a break. When we come back, Dixie Dave is going to join us. Interesting story here, but we'll talk about that more after the break right here on Outdoor Magazine. Thank you so much for joining us this week here on the Outdoor Magazine radio show. Always a pleasure to spend some time with you. Wild Game Chef Extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar, a big part of the show. Dave is actually a little bit under the weather this week, Dave's a pretty tough guy. So what we're going to do now is we want to run the recipe that Dave gave us last week. Very popular recipe. I do have video of it too, by the way. You can find it on my Facebook page and on my Instagram feed. And we will hope that Dave is feeling a little bit better. But this is a blackened walleye recipe. It's a really, really good one, and I think you're going to enjoy it once again. Well, what do you have for us this week, Dave? Is it a cold weather recipe or one that reminds us of warm weather?
It could be warm weather. It's blackened Cajun salmon, and it's on page 31. And I do believe you have the video of it.
Well, let me ask you. Go ahead. I'll follow up with a question. Give us the recipe, and then I'll follow up on that.
All right. So you need about 8 to 10 ounces of boneless, skinless filet person, half a stick of butter, and you could use any blackening spice, or you can make your own. Blackening spice you can buy from like Kitchen Magic and grocery stores. They sell a lot of different varieties. And Gordon's Food Service sells a great one in a larger container for restaurant use. Or you can make your own. So you need a cup of paprika and a tablespoon each of ground sage, basil, thyme, oregano, marjoram, white pepper, black pepper, and cayenne pepper to taste. Mix it all up. Be careful. Don't breathe in the fumes from this. Not the fumes, but anyways, the powder, because it'll make you sneeze. So this is a very, very popular way to blacken fish and meats. You can use this recipe for shrimp or scallops or any firm fish such as snapper, swordfish, grouper, salmon, or trout. Just let your imagination run wild. And you can also do blackened meat, like New York steaks, ribeyes, boneless, skinless, boneless pork loin, and venison steaks. Blackened venison steaks are great. So unless your hood fan is very powerful, you might want to cook this outside or in your garage over your gas grill. And in your kitchen, get the heaviest cast iron pan as hot as you can get it. While heating up, melt the butter in a separate pan. This is a fast cooking dish, so the rest of the meal should be ready before you start this fish or meat. And if you're going to do meat, you probably want to eat it quite rare. Fish, you want to go medium wild to wild because it'll cook after a while. After the pan is hot, dip the fillet in melted butter, roll it in blackening spice or as much as you prefer or as little as you prefer, depending on how spicy you like it. And also, if you're going to make your own, you can adjust the cayenne pepper to your flavor. If you want a really hot dish, you can add more cayenne, and then or less for less spicy. So you're going to place the fillet in the nice hot pan. You want to put it so that the skin side is up. Add a small amount of butter, and do this in a very well ventilated area because it's going to smoke like crazy. Otherwise, it'll choke you out. Try not to breathe too much of this smoke because it'll make you cough, and not to mention setting off your smoke alarm. And remove this after you flip it over, and you're probably going to cook it only a couple of minutes on each side. So remove to a warm plate. Add remaining butter to the pan, mix in the drippings, and then this could be like a sauce almost. And then you want to scrape up the spices left in the bottom and use it for a dipping sauce. Put your bite-sized pieces in or pour it over the fish after you're done. And this is a great way to utilize salmon. And you can actually blacken, like I said, a lot of different things. Saltwater fish works out great too. Or trout, steelhead trout would be just great.
I have on my list of video one that I've called a grilled blackened salmon. Is that the same thing?
I do believe it is.
Okay. So, yeah, I do have that. So I will be putting that up on my social media. I put it on Instagram. I put it on Facebook as well. And people seem to love these days, Dave. They love the fact that they can watch you cook.
I know they talk about it at the restaurant. When they come, they ask me to come out and see them in the dining room.
Oh, good. Well, and we have quite a few of these, so we'll continue to do this. And the restaurant you're talking about, you no longer are cooking in Birch Run, but tell us about this restaurant you're at these days, Dave.
Well, we're at the King's Dish. It's on the corner of 61 and 23 in beautiful downtown Standish. And I work Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and they let me do my specials, which is they got a chalkboard there, and they write up Dixie Dave specials for the day, whether it's some kind of walleye dish or a venison dish or maybe even a chicken dish once in a while we throw in there. Maybe a blackened salmon. We'll try it one of these days.
Well, it seems like the best of both worlds because it allows you to stay in the kitchen. You don't have the hassle of running your own restaurant. Wild Game Chef Extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar. Dave, if you're still with me, just a note because I will forget. Your signal keeps kind of dropping out on us. So next week when we talk, maybe find a different spot to stand. Wild Game Chef Extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar, a big part of the Outdoor Magazine show. But you know what? You as a listener are the most important part. If you weren't listening, there'd be no reason for me to do this. My name is Mike Avery. The show is called Outdoor Magazine Radio. My website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com, and my email address is mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. I'd love to hear from you.